everyone! Welcome back to my channel. I'm Lauren from A Menagerie of Stitches. In today's video, we're going to be making this adorable snowman. I'll also be showing you how to do these two super cute finishes. This one is going to be a snow globe with a little tree and some snowflakes. And this second one is going to be what I like to call the snow scene, which is finished on a slice of wood and has presents, some snowballs, and some trees. This snowman is very beginner friendly and easy to make. Both of these finishes are quick to do as well and only take about 10 minutes to complete. In this video, I'm first going to show you step by step how to make this snowman, and then we'll jump to finishing them at the end. I'll have time codes listed down below if you want to skip ahead. If you prefer a written pattern, you can purchase the PDF on my website, amenagerieofstitches.com. I'll have a link down below in the description. To get started, we're going to need worsted weight or level 4 yarn. Today I'll be using Michael's Soft Classic in the colors white, orange, and mocha. I'll also be using Loops Threads Impeccable in the color cherry. This project is great for using up little scraps in your stash, so you only need a little bit. We're also going to need a 3.25mm crochet hook, or size D, 2 pairs of 6mm safety eyes, a yarn needle, a stitch marker, a couple straight pins, scissors, fiberfill stuffing, and a hot glue gun. You can find the full material list in the description below. For this pattern, you'll need to know how to make a magic ring, how to single crochet, how to invisible decrease, chain, and slip stitch. Video tutorials for how to do these techniques can also be found in the description below. To begin, we're going to start with the nose, and using orange yarn, we're going to chain 3. Then, starting in the second chain from the hook, we're going to make a slip stitch. Then in the next stitch, we're going to single crochet. And that's the nose. It's very small. So then we're just going to fasten off and pull the tail all the way through. Now we'll set this aside for later. Now let's move on to the body. The pattern says for round 1 to make 5 single crochet into a magic ring. So I'm going to make my magic ring, and then we're going to place 5 single crochets inside. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now I'm going to pull this tail to close our ring, and that's the end of round 1. Now moving on to round 2, it says to increase in each stitch around for 10 stitches total. So I'm just going to place 2 single crochets into each stitch around, and I'll have 10 at the end. Alright, and that's the end of round 2. I've gone ahead and added my stitch marker to the last stitch in that row. Now moving on to round 3, the pattern says to single crochet 1, increase 5 times for a total of 15 stitches. So I'm going to place 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then in the second stitch I'm going to increase by placing 2 single crochets together. There's 1. Now I'm going to increase. Now repeat that sequence all the way around. And that is the end of round 3. Moving on to round 4, the pattern says to single crochet 2, increase 5 times for a total of 20 stitches. So again, I'm just going to place a single crochet into the first stitch, a single crochet into the second stitch, and in the third stitch I'm going to place an increase by placing 2 single crochets together. So there's 1, 2, and then I'm going to increase in the next stitch. Now I'll repeat that sequence all the way around until I end at the stitch marker with 20 stitches. And that is the end of round 4. So your piece should start to look like this with a little dome. If it's looking something like this, with your starting tail on the outside, you're just going to flip it so it's this way. Now we're going to move on to round 5 through 7 of the pattern. It says to single crochet 20, so we'll place 1 single crochet into each stitch around for 3 rows total. I'm just going to keep doing this around. Meet me back here after you've completed round 7. All right, and that is going to be the end of round 7. Let's move on to round 8. Round 8 says to single crochet 2, invisible decrease 5 times for a total of 15 stitches. So we're going to single crochet 1, 2, and then in the next 2 stitches, we'll do an invisible decrease, and we'll repeat that all the way around. Single crochet 1, single crochet 2. Now we'll do the invisible decrease. So in the front loop of the next 2 stitches, we'll insert our hook and then yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and that's the invisible decrease. So we'll repeat that all the way around. Single crochet 1, 2, and then invisible decrease. And that is going to be the end of round 8. Now we're going to add the safety eyes to the snowman. The pattern says to add the eyes between rounds 6 and 7, placing them about 4 stitches apart. So I'm just going to count down from the magic ring. And then I'm going to insert the safety eye. Then I'm going to count 4 stitches over. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it'll go into the 5th stitch. All right, and there are our eyes. Now it's time to attach the nose. I like to place mine right in between the eyes, and you'll have 1 stitch on each side of the nose. And then just pull these 2 tails to tighten it into place. Then I'm going to insert my needle back into the snowman and come up right along the outside here. Pull it through. Then you're going to insert it into the nose and come out the back side. Pull it through again. And then we'll insert it into the snowman. I'm just going to pull them so that they tighten. And if you see that it needs to be sewn anywhere else, you can do the same thing. So go in from the inside of the snowman to the out. And then I'm just going to insert it into the nose, then back into the inside of the head. Then I'll just secure these 2 tails. And that's going to be the eyes and the nose. If you want to, you can melt the back of your safety eyes. Now let's move on to round 9 of the pattern. It says to single crochet 1, invisible decrease 5 times for a total of 10 stitches. So I'm going to make 1 single crochet, and then in the next 2, I will make an invisible decrease. So we're going to do 1, front loops of the next 2 stitches, for an invisible decrease. Repeat that sequence all the way around until you end with 10 stitches. Now this is going to be the head of the snowman. These next few rounds are going to actually build up the body, so it's made it all in one piece. So for round 10, the pattern says to single crochet 1, increase 5 times for a total of 15 stitches. So I'm just going to single crochet in the first stitch, increase in the next stitch by placing 2 single crochets together, and I'll repeat that all the way around. And that's going to be the end of round 10. Now it looks a little wonky here, but now it's time to add the fiber fill. You're going to add just a little bit at a time. And you can use the end of your crochet hook to push it inside. And make sure to get behind the safety eyes. Now let's move on to round 11. The pattern says to single crochet 2, increase 5 times for a total of 20 stitches. So I'm just going to single crochet 2, and then in the third stitch I will place an increase by doing 2 single crochets. Now repeat that sequence all the way around until you hit your stitch marker and you have 20 stitches. And that's going to be the end of round 11. Now round 12 says to single crochet 20. So we're just going to single crochet in every single stitch around. And that's going to be the end of round 12. Moving on to round 13, the pattern says to single crochet 3, increase 5 times for a total of 25 stitches. So that just means we're going to place 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches, and in the 4th stitch we're going to make an increase with 2 single crochets together. So 1, 2, 3, and now I'm going to increase. And that's going to be our sequence. So keep doing that all the way around. And that's going to be the end of round 13. Your snowman should start to look like this. Now we're going to move on to rounds 14 and 15. The pattern says to single crochet 25. So that just means we're going to place 1 single crochet into every single stitch for 2 rows. And I'll meet you back here at the end of round 15. And that's the end of round 15. Now moving on to round 16, the pattern says to single crochet 3, invisible decrease 5 times for a total of 20 stitches. So I'm going to single crochet in the first 3. Then I'll make an invisible decrease in the next stitch. Repeat that all the way around. 1, 2, 3. Invisible decrease. And that's going to be the end of round 16. Now we're going to pause here to add the buttons. Now we're going to add the safety eye buttons. Place the top button between rounds 12 and 13. So counting from the top, but I usually just start at the eye. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then you're going to want to line it up with the nose. So as you can see, it's going to just kind of follow the nose down. Then the next button is going to be between rounds 15 and 16. All right, and there are our buttons. Now let's move on to round 17 of the body. The pattern says to single crochet 2, invisible decrease 5 times for a total of 15 stitches. So I'm going to place 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, then I'll invisible decrease in the next. I'm going to repeat that sequence all the way around until I end with 15 stitches. And that's the end of round 17. Now I'm just going to add fiber fill to the body. And as you're adding, make sure to stuff behind the safety eyes so that way the buttons pop out. Now we're going to move on to round 18, and as we go, we will continue to add fiber fill. So for round 18, the pattern says to single crochet 1, invisible decrease 5 times for a total of 10 stitches. So I'm going to single crochet 1, invisible decrease in the next, and I'll repeat that all the way around. And that's going to be the end of round 18. If you need to, add more fiber fill. Use the end of your crochet hook to really get it inside there. All right, let's move on to round 19, our last round. The pattern says to invisible decrease around 5 times for a total of 5 stitches. So I'm just going to invisible decrease in every 2 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now that is our finished snowman. I'm just going to fasten this off, pull the tail all the way through, and then we're going to close up this little hole. You're going to take your yarn needle and insert it from the inside out of the front loop only on those last 5 stitches that we just did. From the inside out. Now on this last one, I like to just place my thumb near the hole and pull the tail until the hole closes. Then you'll insert your needle into the center of the hole and out through one of the stitches on the side, pull it through, and that gives you a nice little clean fasten off. I like to secure this tail with a knot. And then I'll trim it, and I'll use my crochet hook to pull that tail back inside. There we go. And that is our completed snowman. Now let's move on to the arms. Now moving on to the arms, we're going to be using this Mocha colored yarn, and we're going to make a chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we're going to work into the back bumps. Now to find the back bumps, you can see that the front has what we call a V. If you were to flip this over, you have back bumps along the back. You're going to insert your hook into one of those back bumps, and you're going to single crochet. So you can see that if you flipped it to the other side, there's your V. So we're working along those back bumps right there. Now we're going to do this all the way across for a total of 4 stitches. And that's going to be our arm. So I'm going to fasten off, leave a tail for sewing, then we're just going to pull this loop all the way through. And that's going to be your first arm. Now make one more and then meet me back here. Now that we've completed both arms, we're going to attach them to our snowman. The pattern says to attach them between rounds 12 and 13, about 3 stitches away from this top button. So I like to take straight pins and just count 3 stitches over. So 1, 2, 3, and then it goes right after that 3rd hole. And I'm just going to stick my straight pin in just so I know that this is where I'm supposed to go. I'm going to do the same on the other side. So roughly our arms are going to go in these 2 spots. So I'm going to take one of them and I'll take the pin out, and then it just goes right back in. pinning the arm into place. Now I'm going to do the same with the next arm. So they should be pretty even along the sides. Now we're going to attach the arms to the body. I like to take the shorter tail, so the one that we started with, and weave that in first. So you'll just take and insert it right along the edge, go to the back, and then pull it through one of the stitch holes. And that kind of just anchors it in place while we sew the rest of the arm into place. So then with the fasten off tail, our longer tail, we're going to use this to sew the arm into place. So again, going back close to the snowman and the arm, we're going to insert the needle in, come out one of the stitches, and then pull. And then you can also pull that other tail just to get it so it's all nice and tight. You can remove this pin now, and then we're going to take our needle and weave it back in. So where this came out in this hole, you're going to insert it back in, come to the front of the arm, and you'll want it to be really close to where the arm is up against the snowman. Pull this through. Now you'll insert it into the arm, coming out the back side. Pull this through, pull it tight, then you'll insert it back into the snowman. And what I like to do is I like to come out the same hole where this other tail is located. And then you're just going to pull this tight. You can pull these other tails tight as well. And that's going to be how you attach the arm. Super easy. Let's just do it to this side now. All right, and now that we've attached both of the arms, I like to just tie a knot with these two tails. Then you can cut them. You don't want them to be too long, but you don't want them to be too short either. Then just take your crochet hook, insert it into one of the stitch holes, come out and pull those tails through. You don't want it to come out that way, so just go into a different stitch hole and maneuver it around. The dark yarn will kind of show through just a little bit, but as long as you kind of hide it within the fiber fill, you can't really see it. Plus this is the back, so it's not going to be that big of a deal. All right, and that's going to be our finished snowman with his arms. Let's make him a scarf. For the scarf, I'm going to be using this cherry red yarn, but you're more than welcome to use any color that you'd like. We're just going to chain 30. Then we're going to fasten off and pull that tail all the way through. Give it a little tug to secure. Now I'm going to show you how I like to weave in these ends. With your yarn needle, you're going to take and flip your chain over so you can see those back bumps. So this is the front side, these are the back bumps. And I just like to weave my needle through these back bumps here. So I go in one direction, and then I'm going to weave back in the other direction. And I just like to continue this sequence of going back and forth under those back bumps. Once you've gone a few stitches up, you can go ahead and trim this. Sharp scissors are going to be your best friend because it can get really close and give you a clean cut. So just like that. And that's how I like to weave in those tails at the bottom. So let's do the same for the other side. All right, and this is going to be your scarf. Now we're going to add it to our snowman. It should be able to wrap around once, and then right where it overlaps, I like to add just a dot of glue to secure it. So I'm just going to add a dot of hot glue right where they overlap. You don't want to add too much, just a little bit. And then we're going to overlap and press to secure. And here's our little snowman. He's perfect on his own, or you could even add a string or a hook to make him into an ornament. Now let's move on to the finishes. The first finish I'm going to show you is this snow globe. This one is simple but super cute. To make this, we're going to need our snowman, of course. We're also going to need a plastic snow globe measuring 4 inches tall. I found these in the DIY section at Michael's, so check any type of craft store and you would be able to find one. You're also going to need white glitter felt. Plain white felt will work as well. This one just has some glitter, if you can kind of see that. You're also going to need snowflake sequins. These are labeled as polyester glitter. They're a little bit thicker than typical sequins. They almost feel kind of rubber-like. I also purchased these from Michael's. If you don't have any of the polyester glitter, sequins work just as well. These ones are snowflakes and have a little bit of shimmer to them. And then these ones are just various circles of the same type of color. So you could use these or the glitter. And you're also going to need a little mini bottle brush tree. This one measures 2 inches tall. Keep in mind that if you use a taller one, it may not fit inside of your globe. So just make sure that it's a little bit smaller than the snowman. You'll also need a pair of scissors, a pencil, and a hot glue gun. Now we're going to work with our snow globe. We're going to take off this base. We won't need this, so you can set this aside. And then we're going to take out the lid. We won't need the globe as well, so you can put that aside. Now we're going to work with our felt. If you're using glitter felt, you're going to want to flip it upside down, and then you're going to take your base and flip it upside down as well, so that this part is touching the back of the felt. Now we're going to trace a circle all the way around. Then you're going to cut this out. All right, now that we've cut out our circle, you're going to want to flip it back over so the glitter is facing towards you. Then you're going to take the base and flip it towards you as well. You're going to use hot glue and go around the entire outside edge. Then you're going to place your felt on top. So for gluing, I like to add just a little bit at a time. You don't need to do a huge amount because it will spread. So I just like to go very slow. Around the outside edge. All right, then you're going to take your felt and place it on top of the base and then just press it down. And that's going to be how we make the base with the felt/snow. Next, we're going to add the snowman. When placing the snowman, you're going to want to place it towards the back of the base, so that way the tree can sit in front. And that will make it so that these both fit comfortably within the circle. When you're adding the hot glue to the bottom of the snowman, you don't want to add too much. A little goes a long way, especially because we will be pressing this and the glue will spread. So it will kind of pool if you have too much. So I'm just going to go around kind of like the 2 to 3 rows in. You don't want to go out further. So just kind of start in the center and work about a nickel size, maybe like an inch. And you don't add too much, so you can kind of see. Then we're going to just press it down to the base and you can kind of push it from the underside as well. Now we're going to add the Christmas tree. Just add a little bit of glue to the base of the tree. Again, a little bit goes a long way. And then we're going to press this down right in front of the snowman. All right, and that's what it's going to look like. So you can see the snowman sits further back than the tree, and this will make it so that this fits perfectly inside of the globe. Now we're going to add the sequins. So you'll need your globe top and the bottom base. With the globe, you're going to sprinkle in the glitter or the sequins. You can add however much or however little that you'd like. Really go crazy if you want to. Then you're going to keep it upside down and you're going to insert the snowman inside. If your arm gets caught, just make it so it goes in first. And then you just kind of wiggle it around. Then you're going to push the base into place, take the bottom base, and then just screw it into the globe. Now, the base where the snowman sits is not going to be permanently secured onto the globe. So if you're giving this to a child, definitely don't include any of the little pieces because they can take this apart fully. So this is really just a decoration, not a toy. So just kind of shake it around and that is our finished snow globe. For this next finish, I'm going to show you how to make it on this slice of wood. I'm calling this the snow scene. I think it might be my favorite of the two because you can really have fun with how many details you add. You can leave off the presents and add more trees for a more wintry look, or you could even add another snowman if you didn't want the presents. Really, you can do quite a bit with this one, so let's get started. To make this, we're going to need our snowman, of course. We're going to need a pine wood slice measuring 4 inches. I purchased this at Michael's. You'll need white glitter felt or plain white will work. You'll also need bottle brush trees in a variety of sizes. So I used a large, which measures 3.75 inches. You'll need one medium, which measures 3.25 inches. And you'll also need 2 small, which measure about 1.5 inches tall. And I also purchased these at Michael's. You'll need 5mm mini white pom-poms. You'll need about 20 of them, or however many you want for your scene. And then you'll also need 2 mini presents. Mine measure about 0.75 inches wide and tall, and I bought mine from Hobby Lobby. You'll also need a hot glue gun, scissors, pencil, and I like to use tweezers when gluing the pom-poms down. With our wood slice and our white felt, we're going to cut out a circle. Now, if you're using glitter felt, you're going to want to flip it over and then place your wood slice on top. With a pencil, we're going to trace the outline. Then we're just going to cut this out. Now we're going to add our circle to the wood slice. With hot glue, we're going to go around the entire outside edge of the wood slice, and then we'll place our felt down on top. All right, so now I'm just going to be gluing all around the outside edge. And then I do like to add just a little bit, like a dot, right in the center. Now with the felt, we're just going to place it right on top and press it into place. All right, and there is our wood slice with the felt. If by chance you have any felt overlapping, just go ahead and trim that down. Next, we're going to add the trees. I recommend setting up the scene first, just so you know where things are going to go. I even take my pencil and make a little dot where I want each tree to go. So I'm just going to place my bigger ones into the back. The tallest one is going to go in the center right here. And it's okay if they kind of are smushed together and touching like this. And then I like to take my 2 smaller ones and place one on the side of the larger one, and then the smaller one goes right in front of the two trees. So you will put your snowman here. So you want to leave enough space where it can sit comfortably. And then off to this side, we'll add our presents and any other snowballs. So with my pencil, I'm just going to go underneath the stump and draw a little circle. And this will just help me when I go to glue where they're supposed to go. All right, so then you can take these off and you can see that I now have the 4 dots. So with hot glue, I'm going to add just a little bit to the bottom. Again, a little bit goes a long way and it will spread when you press it into place. All right, and that is how you add the trees. Now let's move on to adding our snowman. Now we're going to add our snowman. I like to position mine off to the side of the trees so that way there is space for the presents. When placing it down, I also like to use my pencil to kind of mark where I want it to go. Then when we add glue to the bottom of the snowman, you only want to go up about 2 to 3 rows. You don't want to add too much because when we press it down onto the felt, it will spread. So less is more here. So I'm just going to add a little bit around. All right. And then I'm just going to press it down onto the felt. And for this, you can really press it down on there so that it gets on there. All right, and that is how you glue the snowman onto the felt. Next up are these little presents. I like to set these off to the side in front of the tree. I like to leave a little bit of space right here for the snowball pile. So again, I'm just going to mark with my pencil a little dot. When adding hot glue to the bottom of these, you only want to add just a little bit, not too much. And then just place them down. And there's the presents. And lastly, we're going to add our mini pom-poms for the snowballs. I like to place these all around the outside edge of the wood, so some back here behind the presents, behind the trees, and then I leave enough for a little pile in front of the snowman. A really helpful tip is to use tweezers when assembling these snowballs into place. You can grab onto one of them, and then I'm just going to add a tiny bit of hot glue. Tiny. You don't want to add too much glue to it. And then you're just going to use the tweezers to place it down onto the felt. And again, you can place these randomly however you would like. And that's going to be our finished snow scene. And here are our finished snowmen. Both of these finishes are super cute and can easily be displayed on a mantle or a shelf. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for more crochet tutorials and free patterns. Happy crocheting, friends!